The Galax Lick is one of those gravity-defying clawhammer moves that can define a player's sound. Today we're going to talk about what it is, what it isn't, and all of the details that go into making a good Galax Lick on Banjo Quest. This is part of a larger series over on Patreon. If you would like to support this content, hop on over to Banjo Quest, where we are doing a deep dive into the world of Clawhammer Banjo. It's an amazing community, and this is just a small part of what I produce on a weekly basis. Hop on over there, the link is below, join us. Let's first talk about what the Galax Lick is not. The Galax Lick is not a brushstroke, and that may surprise many of you because you're probably thinking of the Galax Lick as a slow brush, but that's not the case. The Galax Lick is an articulated arpeggio. We need individual notes leading up to the fifth string, and that is going to be what we're going to tackle today. So if the Galax Lick is not a brushstroke, what the heck is it? This is the way I think of the Galax Lick. The Galax Lick is a triplet arpeggio with the fifth string on the downbeat. And why is this a big deal? Well, in normal passing, Clawhammer Banjo puts all of the fifth strings on the upbeat, the and of a 4/4 measure. For example, if I'm playing in D and I simply play a double thumbing pattern and count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and all of those fifth strings happen on the upbeat. So if I wanted to change things around, I would have to create a phrase that allows me to invert the mechanics of the clawhammer stroke and put that fifth string on the downbeat. It would be nice to have access to a downbeat fifth string because now we can simply use the Galax Lick to get that fifth fret note on the downbeat. If we needed that as a melody note, that's incredibly convenient. It allows us to stay in home position without moving up the neck, but we still get to have that high A, in this case, on the downbeat. So in Banjo Quest right now, we are working on Forky Deer, just a gorgeous, gorgeous tune. And the arrangement is defined by this beautiful alternate string pull-off pattern tied into a Galax Lick. The pattern that we've been playing for Forky Deer is this. So you can see how that inverts the clawhammer stroke and puts that fifth string on the downbeat. But what about that arpeggio? The arpeggio is what most folks hear when they hear that Galax Lick as being something so special and different. Let's talk about that now. The reason why you don't want to think of the Galax Lick as a brushstroke or a type of brushstroke is because it will result in this sort of collapsed, messy, brushy sound like this. This is what I hear most often when people try the Galax Lick. They are thinking of it as a brushstroke, and that makes sense. It kind of looks like one. When played up to speed, it even can almost sound a little bit brushy. But if you listen closely to your favorite players, I bet you that you will hear this very clean articulation between notes, especially on that triplet. And that's what I want to give to you today. I want to teach your hands how to articulate those first three notes. All right, so grab a banjo. We're tuned to double D. I'm gonna walk you through, I'm gonna walk your hands through how to do this. I've got my camera set up here, so we're really gonna get a nice close-up view of what's going on. I think it's going to be helpful for you to understand conceptually and physically what these hands are supposed to do during the Galax Lick cycle. So let's think about the arpeggio first. All right, so I need you to trust me on this. Get into your one chord. We're going to throw a vanilla downstroke into the open third string. Just trust me on this. Do this with me. We're going to throw and sit there. Now watch the mechanics. This is important for you beginners, even if you have no designs today on getting the Galax Lick. Watch the mechanics of clawhammer in motion. I throw directly in, and I come to rest on that fifth string with my thumb. The other detail that's really important, especially for you beginners, I throw again. I'm coming into contact and resting my striking surface, in this case my middle fingernail, on the open second string. I punch through the third string and come to rest on that second string. You can see that there in the video below. Do it again, just rest. throw all of the energy of that downstroke directly into the third string and rest. It's all about the rest. Okay, let's do it again in freeze. We're gonna do it again. Here we go. Freeze, now push. Don't pick the hand up again. Rest on the second string. Push through the second string. Let's do it again. Pick up. Throw into the third string. Rest. Push. A little faster. Again. You're kind of continuing that motion past the second string. Let's go all the way past the first string now. We're going to throw, vanilla throw, trust me. All the way. Note that the thumb comes into contact with the fifth string simultaneous to the initial throw and stays there throughout the entire process of the triplet. Let's do it again. Throw into the open third. Push. Here we are. Now let's do an upstroke. Sound the fifth. And then we have the Galax Lick. Let's do it again a little bit faster. Again. One more time. Here we go. The timing starts to come together. In the beginning, don't worry about the timing. Just get the action of pushing through those strings and get the fifth string to sound. We'll tighten up the action later. Let's do it again. Throw into that open third. And I want you to now think triplet da. Again. Triplet da. Again. Triplet da. Good. Now we just went over a great way to vocalize and instantly unpack the Clawhammer rhythm. If you want that information, hop on over to Patreon. It's called the Forky Deer Cheat Code. It's a great way to decipher what's happening in the mechanics of Clawhammer. We want to think of this for now as a triplet. There are lots of permutations of the Galax Lick, so I don't want anybody walking away from this video thinking, oh, the Galax Lick has to be a triplet. We can have any number of notes preceding the fifth string. We can have any number of fifth strings following the arpeggio. Doesn't matter, as long as you're inverting the clawhammer stroke and putting the fifth string on the downbeat. And before that happens, there are a couple notes, that's in the Galax Lick family. I think of the Galax Lick as a pretty broad family of techniques. All right, so that's the basics of that initial Galax Lick. I'm gonna show you how it works in context at the end of the video, but now let's just talk about what I'm doing with my muscles, with my hands to get that to happen so cleanly. I throw, and I am on the Galax Lick often adding a little bit of tension to my striking hand. That helps me maintain a rigid structure that then I push through the strings to that outer string. If you're floppy, if you're too soft on the Galax Lick, that striking finger is going to flop about as you rake through those strings to get that arpeggio. So I add just a little finger stiffness. Don't go overboard on this. You don't want this weird clubby thing. You don't want this static thing. You want to still maintain what we always talk about here on Banjo Quest, soft hands, a soft, light approach. But in this example, I like to add just a little bit of firmness to my striking finger. I also use my whole arm to kind of break. If you just use your wrist, you're gonna find that you may slip through the strings too fast. You really wanna practice this slow, so take your time. If you can't do it slow, if you can't get that to articulate slow, if it just devolves into a brush, you need to reevaluate your technique and get it right. So, if I use my whole arm to kind of push myself through the strings, that helps break the action a little bit so I don't just sort of fall off and get a brush. The other thing I do is, normally I play, you can see from our little camera here, I play fairly parallel to the head with my striking surface. That nail is roughly parallel to the head. When I Galax Lick, I extend that a little bit, so I go a little past parallel, so I can catch those strings a little bit more readily. If I am even and parallel to the head, like this, it's much easier for me to sort of slip past. So I like to break, again, myself through the surfaces of the strings by just extending my striking nail a little bit. Don't do this. We don't want a hand opening. That will wreck your rhythm. It won't take advantage of what Clawhammer does best. Just keep that nice curled shape. Maybe extend the striking surface a little bit towards the head, 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters. These are tiny, tiny moves. And that will help give you that nice articulated 1 string at a time sound. All right, so now let's see this in action. We've got a typical alternate string pull off on strings 2 and 1. And then our Galax Lick. And we have another thing that's really tied to the Galax Lick often. We fan that 5th string. Now let's break a rule of Clawhammer. Usually our Clawhammer moves are down and up. This always on sewing needle that goes into the banjo and out. It's a very binary pattern, 1s and 0s. For the Galax Lick, if we were to continue with the sewing machine action, it would be very hard for us to fan that 5th string with any kind of speed. So we want to freeze the hand after the Galax Lick, freeze, and then get that thumb back and get the second fanning of that 5th string up to speed, that looks like. Again, faster, in context. So you can practice that with a metronome. If you find fanning the 5th string is difficult, you need to measure it with an external time source. That's how I cracked the code for myself. It taught me a lot about just keeping calm, staying on the rhythm, keeping the groove, even when that beautiful metronomic hand pattern of Clawhammer Banjo stops and stays still. So now here's the big question. The question that I think will make or break the Galax Lick for many of you. Where do you start the Galax Lick? Well, Clawhammer has a really convenient and good answer for this problem. You start the Galax Lick on the preceding downstroke of a pattern. If you want a 5th string strike, in this case on the 3rd and 4th downbeat of a measure, we need to start the Galax Lick on the preceding beat, which is the 2nd beat in a 4/4 measure. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And because you've just learned how to start your Galax Lick with a vanilla downstroke on the open 3rd string, this is no big deal for you. You're just throwing your hand into the instrument just like you normally would on the 2nd downbeat of a measure. You just throw in, push through on the triplet, and your Galax Lick will come out correctly. Remember, that initial throw into the open 3rd string in this case is critical to lining up where that triplet needs to be in order to get the 2 quarter notes that follow to fall on the 3 and the 4 beats of this 4/4 measure. This requires a leap of faith. Just like you throw your hand in on the 1st beat to get your alternate string pull off, don't overthink it. Just throw in on the 3rd string on the 2nd beat and push through for your triplet and get that nice quarter note sound, 3, 4 on the 5th string. That initiating note of the Galax Lick is critical. You've got to get it on the 2nd beat in this case. Now, there are lots of permutations of the Galax Lick. We will be talking about them over on Patreon. I can show you 2 string versions. We can do single string versions. We're going to work through, we're going to have a lot of fun with the Galax Lick, see how much we can twist it around and create some really gorgeous patterns. If you're interested in that, hop on over to Patreon. That does it for me today. I will see you next time on Banjo Quest.
you.